relatively new 2001 Mustang Cobra. I just got this car in place of my 2004 Mustang GT, but this is the car that I've kind of always looked for and wanted, and I got it for a pretty good price. It has very low miles. It has under 30,000 miles, something like 29,000 miles, and I picked it up from a guy who wasn't really driving it all that much, an older gentleman, so I was able to pick it up a few months ago in, I think it was June 2020. So I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of an overview of this car. I know it's not a very common car because I've never even seen a 2001 Cobra before I saw this one, and it's pretty different from a regular GT, although like the body and a lot of the parts are pretty similar. Some of the main differences, I'll start with the suspension. It has an independent rear suspension, meaning that each of the rear wheels is independently controlled by a set of control arms versus the solid rear axle in a Mustang GT like my old one. And in a later video I'll show you guys some of the parts and work I have planned for the suspension to start with. But other than the independent rear suspension, the front suspension, from what I believe, is pretty similar. I think it has slightly stiffer sway bars than a Mustang GT, and it has bigger brakes, 13 front rotors, I believe, and 11.2 in the back. I believe it's single piston rear and dual piston front calipers. And show you guys a little bit of the interior. So this is different from my Mustang GT, being that it has the Cobra leather bucket seats. Still has the same transmission as my GT, Tremec TR3650, I believe. 5-speed manual transmission. And it has the white Cobra gauges, but other than that, the interior is pretty much the same. It says Cobra on the steering wheel. Yep. All right. Oh, well, I'll pop the hood, I guess. So this car still has a 4.6 liter V8, except the difference with the Cobra is that it has dual overhead cams compared to the single overhead cam in the GT models. And this one has an aluminum block, aluminum heads, aluminum valve covers. The Mustang GT had an iron block. So it has 2 cams over each head, 32 valves total, 4 valves per cylinder. And it has a couple of changes compared to the 1999 Mustang Cobra. There were some problems with low horsepower numbers, a lot of that being attributed to the intake design, from what I believe, maybe something with the exhaust manifolds as well. But this is the 2001, so it has the revised intake manifold up here at the top. And I also put in this JLT fender well cold air intake. And one unique thing is that, so this car was taken over by SVT, and the person who built the engine has their name on this here plaque, which I thought was pretty cool. I like to know the history of the car that I own. And so the only thing other than that intake that is not stock right now would be a catback exhaust with Flowmaster mufflers, and it has a stock mid pipe, but I'm thinking of changing that out for a high flow cat H pipe. And these wheels, these are Nitto Invos, and they're on 18-inch wheels all the way around, except the fronts. The tires are 275/35 18, and the rear they're 295/35 18s. And I don't really know how wide I could go with wheels and tires in this car without rubbing. So I got some coilovers coming, and I plan to drop the car about an inch to an inch and a half maybe. but I don't want any issues with rubbing. Or I heard, especially with these rear tires, if they're wide enough, it can hit the IRS bolt on the side there. So maybe I would go with 305s, but I'd have to find an 18-inch rim that can go that wide. And yeah, apparently these tail lights are coveted, but I don't plan on getting rid of them because I like the way they look with the ambers turn signals there. But I'll give you guys a little bit of an exhaust clip. Alright, so this was just my little introductory video to my 2001 Cobra, but I plan to make additional videos, especially when I start modifying the suspension a little bit. My overall plan is to autocross the car. So we got a bunch of goodies for parts that are going in, and plan to make different videos on those parts. So if y'all are SVT fans, Mustang fans, Ford fans, let me know. Subscribe, leave a comment, a like, and I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, till the next one.
What's your story? How you been? How you feeling?